Hartman's Grid. Why do scientists hide it? During his student years, Ernst Hartman, while undergoing medical practice, noticed a strange pattern. Mortality on some hospital beds was higher than on others. Over time, it was hypothesized that the cause should be sought in the location of the beds. Hartman moved the beds and obtained a stunning result. Mortality on the unfortunate beds significantly decreased. Despite the fact that the scientist headed the Research Center of Geobiology for 30 years, official science reluctantly acknowledges the results of his work, not daring to call the authoritative scientist a charlatan. Academic circles use a cautious formulation, not scientifically proven. We have already heard this here. Our authority. Everything, we have already heard this somewhere. However, all these observations, as well as the study of Earth radiation and the experience of predecessors, allowed him to create a model of the so-called global grid, oriented to the cardinal points. In this video, we will try to figure out how Hartman's grid affects each of us. How to manage official science so diligently silences and slanders this topic. Realization. Hartman claimed that there is a network of energy flows on the surface of the Earth, and in the places of their intersection, positive or negative, pathogenic activity is observed. The location of these nodes can be determined either by the method of biolocation using a vine or special contours, or using the Kirlian method. Often this can be done by indirect signs. For example, nodes can be found where the cat goes to sleep, where certain types of plants grow. In addition, it turned out that temples and other cult buildings also fit into this scheme. We will talk about temples later, but for now let's figure out Hartman's network in more detail. The scientist believed that the Earth's energy network is part of the general energy scheme of the universe, and the lines are superimposed on our planet as if by a stencil. He also claimed that the line scheme has a rectangular shape. The lines are directed from north to south and from west to east, forming squares and rectangles. In places of intersection, they intersect with each other. With a short stay, a person observes a deterioration in well-being and various negative manifestations: anxiety, a tendency to expert longing, unfounded jealousy, night fears in children and adults. With prolonged stay in these zones, diseases arise, including the most severe ones. If you notice that in certain places you suddenly start feeling differently than usual, share in the comments. The safest zone for people is considered a cell, that is, a place free from the line. The size of the network cells, 2 by 2.5 meters, decreases as it moves away from the equator and approaches the poles. Interesting point. Hartman's many years of research have shown that the most likely place of intersection of lines is where cats like to relax. So they recharge with the energy of the universe. However, even cats do not spend much time in such places. But a dog, on the contrary, prefers to sleep inside the very cell, through which not a single grid line passes. That is, they strive precisely in that energy zone that is more suitable for a person. Have you noticed something similar to your pets? Birds and aquarium fish also react to geopathogenic zones. Budgerigars and canaries have dull and falling feathers. Fish become lethargic, immobile. In addition, in such places, indoor plants feel bad. Small children behave restlessly. In this case, you can check your assumptions using the flame of a candle. It begins to crackle, deviate to the side in the complete absence of a draft. In such places, bouquets wither quickly, and on the contrary, seeds sprout very slowly. You can place small plates with tortured seeds of oats, beans, lentils throughout the room. Plants will show very accurately where a person should not be. It is enough to find just one place of intersection of energy flows. Other unfavorable places can be found by superimposing the Hartman grid on the plan of your room or house. In the danger zone, under no circumstances should there be a bed, refrigerator, kitchen stove, dining or work table. It is possible to neutralize the harm from radiation using absorbing materials, such as wax, cardboard, felt, or try to shield the radiation, for example, by sticking a foil grid on the inside of the palace. And here's what's interesting. When immersed below 5 meters underground, the lines of energy flows cease to be determined. Let's add that Hartman was not the only one who studied geopathogenic zones. One of the first to deal with this problem was Gustav von Pohl, who found that in a group of people who died of cancer, there was a previously unaccounted for factor. Their sleeping places were in geopathogenic zones. Another researcher, Baller, even cited a number of signs that a person's bed is in a geopathogenic zone: antipathy to a sleeping place, long falling asleep, hours of poor sleep, anxious state, fatigue in the morning after waking up, gloominess, nervousness and depressive state, increased heart rate and leg cramps. In children, fear, screams, teeth, chilliness in bed, desire to leave the bed, loss of appetite are added to this. By the way, Hartman developed his grid not out of the blue. He relied on the research of Siegfried Wittmann and Dr. Manfred Curry. How seriously geopathogenic zones were taken is evidenced by the fact that in 1986, Hartman obtained a contract from the Federal Ministry of Education and Research of the Munich University to conduct scientific research on the phenomenon of biolocation. It was found that geological faults in the Earth's crust, especially the upper layers, cracks, voids, are accompanied by a change in the electromagnetic field and other parameters on the surface. But just as the formation of geopathogenic zones can be influenced by pipelines, underground metro passages, mines, and so on. And now, as promised, from ancient temples. There is every reason to assert that in ancient times, when choosing a place to build temples, people found on the terrain just nodes of intersection of linear biophysical anomalies in the form of crosses, along which they oriented their axes. This is confirmed by the data of geomechanics, studying tectonic faults in the Earth's crust. Pyramids, by the way, also stand on the lines of such faults. It is interesting what our skeptics from official science will write about this. We look forward to your comments.